Friends, many a times an IOL is implanted after for the patient, and after cataract surgery, we find out that there is a refractive surprise. So, under the biometry section, I have this article here: refractive surprise post IOL implantation, and how you could actually check what went wrong. What are some of the things that you need to check? What could have gone wrong, and not repeat the mistake again in the fellow eye. Now, this article actually kind of divides into three or four things that you need to check. First is the effective lens position. We know that effective lens position is important, and for every zero point 0.1 millimeter of deviation of the ELP, the impact is found as around zero point 0.2 diopters. Right, this is right from Thomas Olson's work. And then, since it is so important, it is also important for us to understand, what could be the predicted ELP, what could be the predicted effective lens position of the uh, IOL based on the effective lens, based on the preoperative ACD and the lens thickness. So here you can actually use this tool to help yourself understand what could be the predicted ELP and what is actual ELP. So it is important that you do a pseudophakic biometry and then understand where is the lens sitting and how far it is deviating from the predicted ELP. So this is a tool that has been created over here to help you understand. The second thing that you should see is the axial length. Is the preoperative axial length and the postoperative axial length matching? Generally, there is a difference of around 0.02 to 0.03 millimeters, but that should not go beyond this value. If you find that the postoperative axial length is different from the preoperative axial length by more than zero point 0.1 millimeter or zero point 0.2 millimeters, then you know that there is something wrong, either in the post-operative biometry or in the pre-operative biometry. Right now, you have to add a correction factor because post-operative biometry, when you're doing, you already have the lens, and if you have the acrylic lens, this is your correction factor. Say for example, post-operative biometry, you have got the 22 millimeter of axial length, then to match it with the preoperative biometry, you have to add, if it is a 22 diopter to 23 diopter of lens, you have to add 0.26 to that axial length of what you have got from the post-operative biometry. That you need to remember. You also have a tool over here to pinpoint what would be the post-operative axial length based on the central optic thickness and based on the velocity of the sound in the acrylic IOL. But if you don't have these details, you just can follow this chart over here and add the acrylic IOL correction factor to the post-operative axial length that you are getting to match it with the pre-operative biometry. The other thing that of course, you need to see whether the right IOL power was actually implanted. Sometimes this could be missed in the operation theater, in busy operation theater. The fourth thing that I would like to highlight over here is that change in corneal spherical power. So, for example, spherical equivalency. Say, for example, the preoperatively the corneal power was 44 diopters, but you find out that post-operative biometry, when you do that, the average spherical equivalency of the corneal power has changed. Maybe it has become 45 diopters, one diopter more steeper, or maybe it has become 43 diopters, one diopter flatter, right? So that would definitely affect your post-operative outcome, and this is something that has been done, that has been pointed here. Last but not the least, Steve Norby, in his papers, this was a paper published 2008, and he pointed out that much of the refraction, refractive error is actually not a real refractive error, but because it is done, the determination of post-operative refraction is actually, part of the reason of the error. So what that means is that the subjective refraction may not have been done properly, and you may have to repeat that subjective refraction by another optometrist. So this is important. So this actually Norby paper is quite eye opener, in the sense that many of the refractive errors is actually not a real refractive error, but because you actually have done a wrong refraction with the patient. And this is in stark contrast to Olson's paper. In Olson 1992, that was the time when most of the biometries were done either by immersion or contact. They found out that axial length was actually the preoperative axial length. Improper preoperative axial length measurement was the main reason for refractive surprises. But however, that is not the case today. Today, most of the refractive surprises happens because of the effective lens position, of the patient, of the IUL, and many of the refractive surprises because of a wrong postoperative subjective refraction. And now, the last thing that I would like to talk to you here is about, now that you have the refractive error in the first eye, what would you do with the second eye? Would you target the same power? So, this calculator helps you actually to target an IUL power for the second eye based on the refractive surprise in the first eye. So, for example, if you have an observed refractive error of minus 2.5 diopters, that is myopic error, but your predicted refractive error was minus 0.12, say 22 diopters, and it was giving you minus 0.12, then your real and absolute refractive error is minus 0.238. And based on that, if your input IUL power, if you were selecting an IUL power of 34.5, then your new IUL power should be 33.31. So it is always half of the absolute predicted refractive error based on many of the studies that you find over here. I hope you find this article in my blog interesting. You can always go into my blog. Either you can click on the biometry section, or you can use this search section and search this article here: refractive surprise post IOL implantation, how to check what went wrong. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.